Welcome to World Explain. Every single night, all around the world, the most crucial, life-altering financial decisions aren't being made in bank vaults or by sophisticated algorithms. They're being made in the shadows of our own minds. They're whispered around softly lit dinner tables. On any given day, millions of us log into our bank accounts, we stare at glowing spreadsheets, and we try to somehow decode the complicated math of our lives. But there is a dark, almost hidden truth here that most people completely miss. And it's a truth that dictates our entire reality.
You see, when it comes to the real equation governing your wealth, it's not about addition or subtraction or some complex compound interest formula. Not at all. The real equation is driven by ego, pride, fear, and your own deeply buried personal history. The true nature of money is this mysterious, complex dance between the cold arithmetic of a spreadsheet and the deeply flawed, deeply beautiful realities of human nature. When it comes down to it, financial success isn't really about how much you know. It's entirely about how you behave.
Chapter 1: The Invisible Rules. Uncovering your financial DNA.
Okay, let's dive into this. Think of this first concept as a psychological thriller, where the prime suspect is, well, it's your own mind. The author of The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel, points out something absolutely profound that completely reframes how we need to look at wealth. He says, people do some crazy things with money, but no one is crazy. So what does that actually mean? It means every single person on Earth justifies their financial decisions based on the exact information they have in that specific moment. We all build a mental model of the world, and it's shaped by our unique, formative life experiences. Even when someone makes a completely terrible financial move, in their mind, in that exact moment, it makes perfect sense to their personal story. Think about the massive, stark contrast between these two generations. If you were born in 1970, your teenage years and your 20s were defined by an economic boom. You literally witnessed an almost tenfold increase in the S&P 500. Because of that, you are invisibly programmed to view investing as this thrilling, optimistic opportunity. But flip the script. If you were born in 1950, you came of age during a period of market stagnation. The market went absolutely nowhere for years. Because of that specific experience, you are wired, almost on a cellular level, to view the stock market with deep, inherent suspicion. You see, the economic environment of your youth silently writes the code for your lifelong financial behavior.
Chapter 2: Time, Luck, and Risk, the Unseen Forces.
We love to think we're in total control of our wealth, right? But often, luck and risk toss us around like a fragile sailboat in the dead of night. Let's talk about the greatest investor of all time, Warren Buffett. He started seriously investing at the incredibly young age of 10. By 30, he had $1 million. Today, a staggering fortune. But I want you to imagine a completely alternate reality for a second. Imagine if Warren Buffett behaved like a normal young person, spending his early income on traveling, maybe a few nice cars, and only started investing with $25,000 at age 30 and then decided to retire at 60. Even if he maintained his brilliant 22% annual returns, his net worth today wouldn't be in the billions. Actually, it would be about $11.9 million, a tiny, tiny fraction of his actual wealth.
And that brings us to a shocking, undeniable number: $81.5 billion. Let the weight of that statistic just hang in the air for a moment. Of his $84.5 billion net worth, Warren Buffett made almost his entire fortune, over $81 billion of it, after he reached his mid-60s. His true secret isn't just his intellect, or his business savvy, or his skill. It is the silent, creeping, almost terrifying power of compounding time. Now, let's compare Buffett to another financial giant, Jim Simons. Simons is a hedge fund genius who compounded money at a staggering 66% annually. I mean, absolutely crushing Buffett's rate of return. Yet, Simons' net worth is 75% less than Buffett's. Why? Because Simons only found his stride at age 50. If Jim Simons had Buffett's time advantage, investing from the age of 10 with that 66% return, his hypothetical net worth would be a mind-bending $63 quintillion. That's a number so absurdly huge it doesn't even sound real. It absolutely proves that compounding time is infinitely more powerful than your rate of return. But you know, there is a darker, much more uncontrollable side to the forces that shape our success. In 1968, the world had roughly 300 million high school students. Only 300 of them attended Lakeside High in Seattle, which just happened to be the only school in the entire world with a highly advanced teletype Model 30 computer. Among those incredibly lucky students were Bill Gates and Paul Allen, who of course went on to found Microsoft. But there was a forgotten third member of this brilliant trio, Kent Evans.
Kent was just as intelligent, just as visionary as Gates. He was absolutely destined to be a founder of Microsoft. But before graduation, Kent experienced a tragic 1-in-a-million mountaineering accident that took his life.
And this brilliantly illustrates the true nature of risk. Risk is the close, unpredictable, and downright dangerous sibling of luck. Both of them alter the trajectory of our lives in ways we can never foresee. Bill Gates experienced a 1-in-a-million stroke of luck by being at that specific school. Kent Evans experienced a 1-in-a-million stroke of risk on that mountain. Success is this highly complex combination of talent and deeply uncontrollable external forces. Understanding this reality should teach us all profound humility when we look at anyone's immense wealth.
Chapter 3. The Power of Tails. Unlocking Hidden Success. You know how we always see overnight miracles in the media? Well, the documentary truth is those miracles are almost always built upon hidden mountains of failures. Consider the story of Heinz Berggruen. He was a man who fled Nazi Germany and eventually became one of the most successful art dealers in human history. He amassed a collection worth over 100 million euros. So what was his secret? Did he have this magical eye for only picking winners? Absolutely not. He bought vast quantities of art and simply waited. 99% of the pieces he acquired turned out to be largely insignificant. But that didn't matter at all, because the 1% he waited patiently for turned out to be world-altering masterpieces by Picasso and Matisse. He relied completely on the massive tail event winners. And this concept applies far, far beyond the art world. Take a listen to this surprising quote from Jeff Bezos after the disastrous, highly publicized failure of the Amazon Fire Phone. Instead of groveling to shareholders, he confidently told them, "If you think that's a big failure, we're working on much bigger failures right now. Some of them are going to make the Fire Phone look like a tiny little blip." Think about that. Making massive mistakes is actually the required, deeply painful process for finding world-changing success.
A tiny, tiny slice of success can completely eclipse 99% of failures. Amazon's massive, world-dominating growth was largely driven by just two of these tail events, Amazon Prime and Amazon Web Services. These titans more than made up for all the travel agencies and Fire Phones that completely flopped. It's exactly like a stand-up comedian. When you watch a brilliantly polished Netflix special, you are only seeing the 1% of jokes that survive the fire. What you don't see are the thousands of failed, awkward jokes told in empty comedy clubs for years just to get there. In business and in investing, tails drive absolutely everything.
Chapter 4. The Grand Illusion. Defining True Wealth.
Okay, it's time to pull back the curtain and completely dismantle society's superficial obsession with money, because there is a stark, dramatic line between being rich and being wealthy, and confusing the two is a fatal mistake. Being rich is highly visible. It's your current income. It's the flashy Lamborghini revving its engine at a stoplight. But true wealth is entirely hidden. Often the person in that Lamborghini is actually drowning in a mountain of silent, crushing debt just to maintain the illusion. Wealth is the financial assets you have yet to spend. It is silent, it is completely invisible.
So, the big question: how do you actually accumulate this true wealth? Well, it requires profound, almost agonizing psychological endurance. You must exercise self-control, show extreme restraint, and keep your assets unspent. True wealth is actually the diamonds you didn't buy. It's the luxury watches you left behind in the store and the first-class upgrades you declined. Richness is loud, desperate, and easy to fake. True wealth is silent, disciplined, and profoundly difficult to imitate.
Chapter 5. The Price of Freedom. The Admission Fee.
The pursuit of financial independence is definitely not a casual walk in the park. It is a treacherous mountain climb fraught with psychological danger, and you have to be willing to pay the heavy toll. Let's look at the market's psychological price tag. Morgan Housel brilliantly compares investing to getting a car. A new car offers a high reward, right? Like a 12% return, but it costs a lot. In the stock market, that admission fee is paid through high volatility, fear, and emotional stress. A used car is safer, offering maybe a 4% return with very low risk. But then there's the stolen car. This is when people try to get something for absolutely nothing. They try to time the market, dodging the emotional admission fee of volatility altogether. And just like stealing a car in the real world, trying to cheat the market's psychological price tag almost always leads to absolute unmitigated disaster. And here's the thing. Even if you do navigate the market successfully, you face the ultimate psychological trap, the hedonic treadmill. It is the tragic, never-ending cycle of constantly moving the goalpost further ahead the exact moment a goal is finally reached. You get exactly what you wanted, but suddenly the rush fades, and it's simply not enough anymore.
This treadmill leads directly to some of the darkest true crime stories in financial history. Just look at the absolute tragedies of Bernie Madoff and Rajat Gupta. These were ultra-wealthy men who had absolutely everything. They had completely won the game of life. But they couldn't step off the treadmill. Because they never learned the simple concept of knowing when enough is enough, they resorted to crime to get just a little bit more. And they lost their freedom, their reputations, and their entire empires in the process. It serves as a chilling, highly emotional warning to us all.
Because ultimately, the highest dividend that money pays isn't a sports car or a massive mansion. It is total, unyielding control over your own time. Pursuing money without valuing your time is exactly like pouring water into a bucket with a massive hole in it. No matter how much wealth you pour in, it will constantly leak out, leaving you exhausted, stressed, and empty. True freedom, the ability to wake up and do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want, is the ultimate goal of all wealth.
Which leaves us with this final provocative question to think about. If you master the math, if you build the spreadsheets, and you accumulate the wealth, but you lose your mind, your time, and your peace in the process, what is the true cost of your money? I want you to think deeply about that as you navigate your own financial journey. Thank you for watching World Explain. See you in the next video.